Good afternoon, my name is Fabiola Diaz, and with my partner Alexis, we're going to talk about a really interesting topic, and that is why birth rates are declining globally, and why, in our point of view, that's not necessarily a bad thing. To start, a little over 2 million ago, there were about 170 million Homo sapiens in this planet. In the time since, the global human population has expanded dramatically, growing from 910 million in the 80s to more than 7.7 billion people today. Looking at these numbers, it might be easy to assume that the human population will just keep expanding and growing, but the reality is very different. Global average fertility rates have dropped by half over the last 50 years. From having families with 5 children or 7 children in 1968 to just 2.5 children per family in 2017. 2.5 children mean like 1, 2, or 3 kids per family. For some countries, this is incredibly worrying because they just have elder people and they don't have young people or more children that will be take care of them. Like, for example, South Korea, where the fertility rate is just 1 kid per woman, or China standing on the edge of a cliff previously unimaginable, dropped its one-child policy and start allowing families to have 2 kids. Countries that are worried about falling birth rates are usually countries that are focused on economics and demographics. They search for a tool to contrast the birth fall rates, and the answer is immigration. Why? Because immigrants are usually young, or they start to form a family as soon as they immigrate. This increase the number of children and increase the number of people who will be working till they're elderly. Now, looking for an answer to ask the question of why birth rates are declining, the researchers found that interestingly both the rise in populations and the falls of birth rates have the same root cause, and that is modernization and culturalization that change the life of women and children around the world. It turns out that the fertility rates or birth rates, rather like people, are quite sensitive to the ups and downs of the life in the Anthropocene. Let's remind what Anthropocene means, and it is the current geological age view as the period during which human activity has been the dominant influence in the environment and climate. As a result, the researchers found or expect that the number of people on the planet will peak at 9.7 billion around 2064, before falling down to 8 billion by the end of the century.
But why are fertility rates falling? This has nothing to do with sperm counts or the usual things that we think when we are discussing about fertility. The answer is instead, it is being driven by more women in education and work, as well as a greater access to contraception, leading women to choose to have fewer children. And this could be good for some women, family, societies, and even could be good for the environment. In places, there's still some countries like sub-Saharan Africa where they remind how did society work before? Well, the roles for the woman have been evolving since catastrophic events like world wars. As men were called to serve their country, the housewives look for an economy sustain for the families, leading to occupy the jobs of their husbands, or even starting their own business. The now common of women working has led for them to have a voice on their own and being self-independent, having the opportunity to decide for their rights. So, why do we keep hearing that the world needs babies? The longer range answer is that our notion of a healthy, vibrant society is still rooted in the past. Life expectancy have increased dramatically over the last half century. And nowadays, in the 21st century, the work routine is almost an usual practice for everyone, demanding time, knowledge, and intelligence. With such demands, the youth ask themselves if raising a family is a principal priority as we face an economic global crisis and the last ravages of a global warming. We have to adapt to the new reality. More people need to work longer, for example. Although creativity doesn't fall off with age, skills change, and we need to replenish those that are lost from the workforce. And when the elderly people to finally stop being productive, we need to find new ways and new workers to care for them. So we need solutions, but they don't have to look like babies. And how is this situation in Mexico? As I had mentioned, society is still roots in the past, but now women are increasingly involved in business, the media, and many other workplaces. They have the ability to perform multiple tasks at the same time, as well as being professionals in any area.